This episode of the D-Lew Podcast is brought to you by Goalie Nutrition. As someone who's used Goalie for quite some time, I can tell you that they're not only very good, but they're very beneficial. My favorite are the Super Green Gummies. The Super Green Gummies are uniquely crafted with a spectrum of essential nutrients such as vitamins A, B12, folic acid, and thiamine. It supports a healthy liver function, healthy nervous and immune system, digestive health, a boost to your metabolism, and overall health and well-being. There are no artificial sweeteners, flavors, or colors from artificial sources. They're vegan-friendly, gluten-free, and gelatin-free. All loyal listeners of the D-Lew Podcast get a special 10% discount at checkout. Go to goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. That's goalie.com, use promo code DLEW. This podcast is a Believe Network and Luciete production. Welcome to another edition of the D-Lew Podcast, brought to you by Believe Network. I'm your host, Derrick T. Lewis. And as the holiday season is here, again, I hope you all are enjoying it all with your families and your friends and your loved ones. And I'm all done with my shopping, so that I'm excited about, and I hope that the missus enjoys all of the wonderful, wonderful gifts that I got her this year. This is our first Christmas together, and I'm definitely looking forward to spending some quality time with her. But this past weekend was Monster Factory's One Last Fight event, our last event of the 2023 calendar year. Doing my ring announcer thing, and kudos to the entire roster that was on the show that showed out, for the fans. And the main event delivered beyond belief. And that was one of probably the most violent match I've ever witnessed in my 5-year history of being with the Monster Factory. And the ending, oh my goodness. To check out the replay of One Last Fight, just go over to Monster Factory's YouTube channel and you can actually check it out for yourself. You will not be disappointed. But this week, this interview I did, probably the biggest I've done thus far. This is no disrespect to anybody that I've interviewed on this show. I'm more than appreciative of you granting me your time and everything. You know what I mean? I'm very appreciative. But the woman that I had an opportunity to interview, she is a 16-time Grand Slam champion in MMA across 4 different promotions in the mixed martial arts sport. She's currently fighting in Bellator right now. She just knocked out Kat Zingano 2 months ago at Bellator 300. And she's going to be stepping back into the boxing ring on January the 19th at WFC's 163 event out in California in the San Diego area as she takes on Kelsey Wickstrum. I'm talking about none other than the one and only CRIS Cyborg. She sits down with me for about a good 12 to 13 minutes, and we talk about everything going on in her career in MMA and in boxing. And after that interview is over, it's going to go right into the year-end special for pro wrestling with me and the one and only Gabi. So let's not wait any longer. My interview with CRIS Cyborg and the year-end special with Gabi starts right now. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce a woman who is the only MMA fighter in history to become a Grand Slam champion, holding 4 world championships across, actually more than 4 world championships. There's actually 16 world championships across 4 major MMA promotions. And on January the 19th, she's scheduled to step into the boxing ring to face Kelsey Wickstrum at WFC 163 at the Pechanga Resort Casino in Temecula, California. The one and only CRIS Cyborg. Thank you so much for coming on to the D-Lew Podcast. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me here on your show. I'm really excited for my next fight. I just come back from the training. We did a great sparring. And yeah, it's a challenge. I'm excited.
Awesome. I'm excited as well. But I want to get right into the interview. And again, it's an honor and a privilege to have you on. You're just coming off a huge first round TKO against Kat Zingano at Bellator 300 about 2 months ago. How did it feel, just personally, coming off such a dominant win after a 17-month layoff from MMA?
17 months of MMA. For me, I was training. I was have some issues. I was my manager, and they renewed the contract. And finally, in getting perfect time, we fight Kat Zingano. It was a great event, and Bellator 300 is like epic event. Who's in life there was really cool. And yes, I think every time is a God time. If it happened, that time was supposed to be.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. So, with that fight in the rear view, okay, has there been any other discussion, regarding who your next opponent will be in Bellator? I know there was the merger with PFL and everything, but maybe Kayla Harrison. Has any other opponents been able to say, hey, we're gonna go and get this done?
For defending the title for Bellator, I was facing off Leah after the fight. It's supposed to be her if you're going to continue the title in Bellator. But, the next fight to really build it up for 3 years, it's against Kayla Harrison. She's say about her last fight. She's ready. She want to make the fight happen. I think it's the fight that the all the fans waiting. We've been talking for 3 years almost, and I think everybody excited for this fight before because I was in Bellator, she's in PFL, so it was very hard to make. But now we're both, both roof. I think this fight is very close to happen.
Does she pose any, as far as difficulty based off of what you've seen from her in all of her fights?
Kayla Harris is a great athlete, but I don't believe she have more wrestling than me, but I think she's doing great in the fights. But I believe I mean long time in the mixed martial arts. I've been training everything, and I can make her a lot of trouble in the fight for sure. I think she never fight somebody like me, but they're gonna be excited to fight. She's have a heart. She wanna fight. It's gonna be good.
Well, the fight fans, we demand, the best to fight the best. You know what I mean? Regardless of which promotion it is. So I
Yes.
want to I want to switch over to boxing just a little bit. What was the deciding factor that led you to getting into boxing at this stage of your career?
No, first I was supposed to have a dream. I have a dream, have one boxing fight. It was supposed
Mhm.
to be only one fight, and but start to open the door, open the opportunities. My second fight, I got a call say, Chris, you'd like fighting the Crawford card, and they say, I was thinking, no, I'm not being trained. They say, no, Chris, it's a great opportunity. So then I step it up, 2 weeks training, and the fought first time did this in my career. I did it before MMA, 4 weeks, 3 weeks notice. And they say, okay, let's do it. And now I was just fought Kat Zingano. I was chill. I say, I'm gonna rest. And they got a call, Chris, would like to fight in the card January. And they just say continue, training. Yeah, it's coming from the great shape. It just continue training. And it's nice, it's the opportunity. Oh, God opened the door for me. And I love challenge. Is there gonna be a great fight for continue, training, improving my game for MMA?
Got it. I mean, it's all important as far as being a well-rounded athlete. I mean, obviously, the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, we already know. On the
Yeah.
ground, there is no other like Chris Cyborg. Again, and you alluded to it, as far as the second fight, but you made your boxing debut last year against Simone Silva. Then, of course, your second fight against Gabrielle Holloway, both ending in a unanimous decision. What were some of those challenges you faced, going from MMA to boxing?
It's a lot of things different. People say, okay, because they make mixed martial arts, it's the same thing. Box is not. It's all different. Girls, like I usually I fight 5 rounds in 5 minutes. I'm gonna fight a 2 minute round. It's different. Really, the speed is different. Everything is different. The way you do your base, MMA when you kick is different base the boxing for block the kick, for kick, the movement, it's all different. But I believe all this improve, make me sharp. If I see things in boxing, for sure I'm gonna see things in MMA. Because in the box you can see just the body, up body. You work footwork, yes, but the punch is coming from the upper body, so you get you sharp when you come to MMA. So, and I'm at Benavides team here training with coach Jose, and I love it because I improved my game, I learned it, and yeah, I'm excited for the next one.
Definitely, definitely. Which boxers, past and present,
have you watched as you made your transition into boxing?
I like to watch Pacquiao. I went a couple times running with him in Los Angeles to have a fight. I met him in person. I think
Hmm.
he's a really good guy. He's really helping the community, humble, and he's a legend in sport. So I look to him, and I look to Canelo. Now I'm in the team Benavides. I've been watching him, Benavides, Virgil. I have the opportunity to take a training with his father, and I watch him. So, I have a little guys, bigger guys I've been watching. And, the girls coming to when I have MMA fights, I invite the girls to do sparring for me. Some amateur girls from boxing, some professional box. So I always try help the community in women's box. I think they really work really hard. So for me, it's like an example for anything, for me learning from boxing.
Got it, got it. So let's talk about your opponent coming up on January the 19th, Kelsey Wickstrum. She's a southpaw who's 2-0 with one by way of knockout. Based off what you've seen from her two fights, if you've seen any film, what challenge does she bring to CRIS Cyborg on January the 19th?
Everybody step in the cage on a fight to me, bring some challenge. I come to her sport. She's come from boxing. I prepare well. I do my best. I went there doing boxing. I know people say, of course, you're going to do boxing. Yeah, but MMA boxing is different than real boxing. So I've been here, get out of my house, we stay in Christmas training. I'm going to be with my family. I'm going to be training because they really take it serious and I'm going to do great fights and with Kelsey.
I alluded to this in my intro when again we're talking about all of your accolades you've had in the world of mixed martial arts. What does all of that success mean to CRIS Cyborg?
First, I believe think about your example for a lot of girls. Young girls want to be a fighter, so people look to you. So it's gonna become a hard time. It is, but have one reason you were there. I'm a long time champion in my career, so it's important. Was the get the belt is hard, but keep champions the hardest. You have to keep it humble yourself, learning every day. Even if you're champion, even if you're famous, if you have a lot of money, you have to really respect your team and be humble to learn. You don't know everything. Even sometimes you think but you have to be humble and you continue work hard. I continue work hard in my whole career, like I'm the contender number one, even though I was defending my title. So I think this is the most important.
Got it, got it. Now, are there any other boxes on the horizon that you have your eyes on? Now, obviously, I'm on Twitter. I'm active. I saw the verbal spat with you and Clarissa Shields, a champion in her own right, in the world of boxing, and she's been, dominant in that regard. Do you see that fight happening? And if so, if the cards were in if it was up to you, would that fight happen in the cage or would that happen in the boxing ring?
No, much respect to Clarissa Shields. I watch her fights. I went to her fights. For me, it's boxing. Is the opportunity coming up for me. It's funny. Everybody calling my name. 18 years in the mixed martial arts sport. Everybody calling my name. This is really blessed. I believe like this. We can fight boxing. We can fight MMA. We just have to figure out the how much is going to be the fight. I know the women's box don't pay like the MMA, women's MMA like I making money in MMA. So about the weight class too. So she's fighting 150, 160 something.
Right.
So probably I will fight if this fight happens, it's gonna be 145 is the division I want to fight. I fight MMA 145. So I don't know. We can make one MMA and one boxing, I don't know. But much respect for the champ, I'm here for training, learning. If we're gonna put in a great fight for the fans, why not?
Well, let me tell you something. If that fight happens, if it does, I would love to be there to witness history in the making. Now, what are some of your goals going into the new year in 2024?
My goals is to come here with a great victory. It was a great fight January 19. I know it's gonna have a lot of news for next year because I have a lot of, the PFL, Bar, Bellator. So we're gonna have different girls, different scene. Everybody think who's gonna be the next. I'm really excited for this year come up. But I'm really focused on Kelsey, January 19. and doing my best and doing the great. I want to do the biggest fight for my fans in MMA or in boxing, but I want to do the biggest fight for everybody enjoy. I have more 2 years in my career. I want to complete the 20 years, and I want to end in the biggest fight and the great fight for my fans.
Definitely. Well, ladies and gentlemen, once again, you can check out Chris Cyborg versus Kelsey Wickstrum at WFC 163 on January the 19th at the Pachanga Resort Casino in Temecula, California. You can get your tickets now at worldfightingchampionships.com. Chris, thank you so much. It is an honor, truly an honor to have a legend in combat sports, grace the D-Lew podcast with their presence. I appreciate you more than you know.
I want to say thank you for seeing everyone, my fans. Thank you for people from boxing. For me, it's a new sport, new thing for me, new fans, new base. I really love it. I love the people send to me, and it's really a pleasure being at your podcast. I wish you luck for you, and God bless.
Thank you so much, Chris. Well, I'm back now with the wonderful Gabi. She's once again joining the D-Lew podcast for the year-end special in regards to the world of professional wrestling. Gabi, how are you?
I'm great. How are you? Again, thanks for having me as always. I love being here.
Well, again, like I said, you're a part of this journey. You're a part of the show, and I definitely appreciate it. I'm still in shock that I interviewed Chris Cyborg. Like, this is
so cool. Like, I'm so excited and so happy for you. Like, I'm just hats off, man. Hats off.
Thank you. I appreciate it. And then again, thanks goes to you and many folks that's been on this show, all my guests and everyone that's listened. I mean, and building the audience, brick by brick. You know what I mean? Rome wasn't built in a day, and now there's D-Lew podcast, but we're moving onward and forward. That's for sure. But like I said, this episode, we're not breaking down any shows. We're not breaking down any events. We're just going to just give our year-end D-Lew podcast awards, so to speak. I'll think of a name maybe next year or something like, I don't know. But we're going to we're going to talk about, and this is between AEW and WWE and Impact, just to let you guys know in regards to what we think, as far as in some of these categories. So let's start off with Breakout Star of the Year. Gabi, the floor is yours.
So my Breakout Star of the Year is Trick Williams.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I like it. All right, man. Give us, okay, so break that
King
down.
Booker. I think that everyone thought that Trick and Mello just clicked together, and I think they definitely do. Like, we're not denying that. I think Trick showed up and was like, you know what? I could do this with or without Mello, and I love it. He's shown that he is a great start in the ring. He's shown he's a great start on the mic. Like, I love it. I'm here for it.
I like Trick Williams too. And to me, it's like and I've always thought he was a star. Even going back to when he first got on television, like I'll never forget when him and Mello first appeared on television. And I told Mello this last year at Mania when Trick and Mello go together like peanut butter and jelly, Shaq and Kobe, or Trick Williams and big booty women. I said, okay. Book. And I love the barbershop stuff they were doing. I thought that was just good stuff, fun stuff. But for me, my breakout star is from AEW, and her name is Julia Hart.
All right, talk to me. Why we pick Julia?
Because number one, I thought she was filling in space in House of Black in the beginning. But she literally just became a star. I guess a star is born in a sense, obviously having some damn good matches. This feud with Sky Blue is really is propelling her. And now she's she's not but the TNT champion now. The TBS champion. I'm sorry. I get the two channels mixed up. You know what I'm saying? But I really felt as though that she really climbed, to me, I don't think the way that she was positioned, especially with women's wrestling,
cheerleader, weird little,
she was doing the Varsity Blondes thing, and she turned heel and joined House of Black. And I thought she was just going to be a ballet. I didn't think they were going to ever showcase what she can do in the ring. And she's put on some damn good matches on television. So that's why I gave her the breakout star of the year because of where she was. Because we all knew where Trick's trajectory was going to go. We already knew that. And I'm not taking anything away from Trick as far as breaking out and on his own, in a sense. I always knew he would be there. But for someone like Julia, and especially in a company where historically so far in their short history, the booking of women's wrestling hasn't been the most consistent.
Absolutely. We talked about this before.
Yeah, so I think her rising the way she did, I think it was good. So that was my breakout star of the year. Next is the most underrated wrestler.
Who you got?
It's crazy, but I think he put on some great matches this year. Thank you, Chad Gable.
We have the same one for sure. Definitely have Chad Gable listed as my most underrated as well.
I have to be honest with you. Having met Chad Gable, having had a chance to talk to him in LA, and just to see about his, like, we talked about his origin of like how he got started in wrestling. Yeah, obviously when he was in the Olympics and everything, and he was the very first Olympian I ever interviewed, and that was an honor for me. But just to see what he can do, not just in the ring, because we all know he's damn good at what he does, but the sports entertainment side of it, and he's given me year 2000 Kurt Angle vibes in regards to the comedy, the goofiness, and trying to be wholesome all at the same time. The dynamic with Otis and Maxine, and you have Tozawa in the mix now with the Alpha Academy.
It just works.
It works.
Just works.
And they're not force feeding it. They're not forcing it. They're just making it happen. So that's my pick for underrated wrestler. What was your reason behind it?
Similar reasons. I think that he has got his chance to shine this year. We're able to see more of his personality. Like, everyone knows he can go in the ring. That's never been a question about him. I just think that they finally gave him a chance to just go. And I truly would love to see him be the one to take the strap off of our boy. Like, I know that ship, he had his match. But I still wouldn't mind if he would be the one to take the strap. Like, I want to see it.
Well, like I said, there's a lot that can happen between now and April 6th and 7th at WrestleMania. So
absolutely.
For all we know, because I know as we're recording this on a Monday night, I know The Miz is scheduled to face Gunther. I think one was like kind of like a last chance type of thing match. And I mean, I hope they don't. I mean, because again, The Miz don't need the belt. I mean, The Miz
absolutely, he doesn't need it.
He doesn't need it.
That it gives him a chance to bring some more eyes to the belt, because we all can't deny, like, when The Miz is involved with anything, like, you're going to get the eyes on it, you're going to get the attention on it, like, continue to build that belt up more. I love it. I'm here for it. Let's go.
All right. Next, we're going to talk about who was and again, we were allowed to choose two. The workhorses of wrestling this year. You go.
All right. So for my workhorses, I have to go with Orange Cassidy. My second is Athena. I think that they both have put on banger after banger for AEW and for Ring of Honor the entire year. Orange Cassidy goes out there damn near weekly and defends that title. And he does not have squash matches. Orange Cassidy is not giving you a 1, 2, 3 pin. He's giving you a full match. Athena, I don't think she gets enough credit for what she does for the women's division in general. I think that she honestly should have been number 1 in PWI, but that's a rant for another day. I think that she is highly underrated, and I think she's been busting her ass all year. Same thing with Orange Cassidy.
Yeah, and I mean, I have one of yours, and I have somebody else as my workhorses. One is Orange Cassidy, and the other one is Seth Rollins, because they put the world title on him to really be the workhorse. They really put the title on him to go out there and put on match after match, and he's put on some great match. I mean, not to say that he hasn't, but I really felt as though that it was his point, that it was his year to prove that he's truly one of the best in the world. And having the title, and time after time after time, he's going out there proving it. And then, of course, Orange Cassidy, I mean, obviously the matches he's had this year with the international title. To me, I think the international title is far more important than the TNT title, to be honest with
Agreed
you.
100%.
I think
It's
if they did
defended
away,
more.
if they did away, for example, if they did away with the TNT title and just made it the international title as the mid-card title, I'd be fine with it. I would, because Orange Cassidy has gone out there and he has, literally made the belt credible. You know what I mean? He put the importance on it. I mean, there's been some heavy hitters that he's beaten. Obviously, obviously Moxley held it and that type of thing. But I think Orange Cassidy, and again, remember when Orange Cassidy first got onto the national scene in AEW, a lot of people didn't understand the sunglasses, the last days ago attitude, the hands in the pockets, and
the little kicks,
the little kicks, and the little this and that. But once he takes off the veil and really shows what he could do in the ring, real ones know. When real ones that know ball, they know ball. They know what Orange Cassidy can do. So that was my two picks for the two workhorses in professional wrestling. And like I said, Athena. Hey, listen, I know we're gonna do something talking about women's wrestling soon on another platform, and we'll talk about that a little later. But Athena, to me, I've always felt like this whole year, like she's been out there just boom, boom, and I think this is a better run, match quality wise, than she was when she was in NXT and the WWE.
This is the run of her career, and I hope it continues to grow and we can say that moving forward. But like, if you look at her entire body of work for when she was in Ring of Honor the first time, when she was in NXT, when she was in main roster, like run has been flawless. She has shown she can get busy in the ring. She's been great on the mic. She has her development. She's killing it. You can't deny it.
No, 100%. And I mean, I really enjoy what she's doing and putting credibility on the belt. And hopefully that into 2024, she, bigger and better things, but she can actually be highlighted and not be put on the pre-show, but actually put her on the main show of a pay-per-view where she can definitely be featured. Now we're going to move on to match of the year. Go ahead.
My match of the year is MJF and Daniel Bryanson, or Bryan Danielson, how you want to refer to him as, their Iron Man match. Is my match of the year. That match was flawless. That match reminded everyone that MJF is not just typical heel. We all see heels and like they cheat to win. They really don't have to wrestle that great. It's great if they can, but like they're gonna cheat, right? So like doesn't really matter. MJF has shown you multiple times this year that like I can go toe to toe with the best of the best and win. I can put on certified bangers and not just take the heel way out of cheating.
Right.
I can go toe to toe with who you think I can.
There's a lot of times we want our heels to cheat to win, but I think in some instances there has to be those times of like, hey man, you were the better man tonight. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even though you're a piece of trash, you were still the better man tonight. So I get what you're saying, and that match was great. I chose a match from WrestleMania 39, Charlotte Flair and Rhea Ripley. And having been there, I could tell you, and you were there too, those two wrestled like their lives absolutely depended on it, because they wrestled like with the chip on their shoulder because they were supposed to have been the main event.
They should have been. And that match, they had a point to prove, and goddamn it, they proved it.
They did. And I mean, when you saw Charlotte outside the ring when Rhea won and she was like smiling, I think she knew, we killed it. And I mean, just the aura of the match, like it was
the entrances,
just them standing in the ring, being introduced. Mike Rome
was the face
to face, and I mean the stature. You know what I'm saying? And I think it just made Rhea. Granted, Rhea was already a star. She became a superstar, in my opinion.
It just pushed her. It just absolutely that trajectory. Just strapped the rocket to her.
Because I interviewed her during the press junket, for WrestleMania, the day before, as a matter of fact, and because it was SmackDown. Wait, what was it? I forget which day. I think it was SmackDown Thursday, Raw Friday. I think that's how it worked out, as far as Superstar is concerned. But because she was going for the SmackDown Women's title, even though she was a Raw superstar on Rhea Ripley. And I had mentioned, the match from 3 years prior, WrestleMania 36 with no fans. And I said, what was the difference between then and now? And she said, I'm a better rear rifter than I was 3 years ago. Charlotte, she thinks that I'm that same woman, but she's going to find out when we get in the ring that it's going to be a totally different ball game. And Rhea stepped her game up truly. And I was so proud of the both of them going out there and proving again, why women's wrestling should matter.
Absolutely. They were actually my close second. I fought back and forth with that match.
I right then I knew. I said when I was leaving. Granted, when obviously it was the Usos and Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. Don't get me wrong, hell of a match. The only tag, the second
Charlotte and should have main evented. Absolutely.
Right, they were the second tag team match to ever main event WrestleMania. I mean, which was history in the making. But I felt as though I said, if they would have had those women closing out that show, I said, whew. But I think, we all real ones know. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? This is no disrespect to the Usos, no
None.
disrespect to KO.
Just our opinion, folks.
Right, just an opinion, right. All right, so we're gonna go to surprise of the year. You go.
All right, so my surprise of the year is from SummerSlam in Detroit. Shout out to 313, shout out to home. The ending of the women's match with Bianca Belair and Io cashing in. I don't think anyone saw that coming. That is my surprise of the year. I know it's a kind of a random pick for surprise of the year, but I feel like the other surprises of the year, like Edge going to AEW, it was like we knew it, but we didn't know it, but we kind of knew it. Like I feel like surprises this year have not truly been surprises. And that ending truly surprised me. Like I did not read that anywhere. I did not. That was nowhere spoiled for me. That just was a great moment for women's wrestling that was not spoiled and was truly a surprise to me.
Now, my surprise of the year has something to do with a woman, and it was Trinity going to Impact Wrestling.
Really? Tell me more.
I was under the impression that things were going to go. I think things were going to smooth over with WWE, being that there was a regime change. I thought they were going to. Right, and I literally thought that. So to see her go to Impact, and to be honest with you, she's putting on some great matches there too.
Absolutely.
Obviously the matches, Deonna Purrazzo and the Sunny Kiss, and the list goes on and on of the countless wrestlers that are there. And I mean, like I said before, I say it again. Impact now going to be TNA in January. TNA, don't stop watching them, or definitely keep your eyes on them, because they're making noise. And I mean, I like the fact that they're sticking to what they do. They're sticking to what they do and how they produce. The only thing I wish, though, is that they were live every week. But again, when you're trying to stick with it within a budget, and I totally understand, it costs money to tour. You know what I'm saying? Renting buildings and, getting talent to and from. And there's all this other stuff you have to consider. Them kind of staying, within what they're doing. Hey, if it works for them, it works for them. So I'm proud of what Scott D'Amore and those guys are doing over there.
I can appreciate the fact that, like you said, they're staying in their lane. They respectfully know they are not competing with AEW. They're not really competing with WWE. They're fine. This sounds weird. They're fine being the mid card. You know what I mean? Like, they're cool hanging out. Like, we do what we do. It's great. We know what we're good at. We're going to capitalize on that. Let's just stay in our lane and master that. And that works. That's okay.
Right. No, I agree. I agree. Like I said,
I will say that I saw Trinity at Wale Mania, and they asked her about what she was doing, and you could tell like she wants to get back in the ring, or she wanted to get back in the ring, but she also seemed very uncertain at that time. And I don't know, like, if that was truly uncertain or was she playing it up? I don't know. I don't care. Right. But you could tell like the fire was still there, and she was hurt that she was not in the ring. So I'm glad that she did pop up somewhere. And she's happy. Like, she's putting on great matches. You can tell like the quality of matches she's putting on, you can tell, like, I'm not taking anything away from her WWE runs. Like, she's happy, she's having fun, she's able to truly be herself, own her character, own everything, and just have fun. And I think people forget about that part of the business, right? Because you go to work, you do what you got to do, and you go home. Like, having fun matters. And
Right.
when someone's having fun, it shows in their match quality. It shows in everything they do. So
Right.
being happy is grossly underrated.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing too. Sometimes, and Punk said in the promo last week, sometimes you gotta leave. You know what I mean? Think about how much better Cody Rhodes got in the ring as far as just being a ring general and just do literally like watch Cody Rhodes in early WWE, all the things that he did over those 6 years when he worked every indie he possibly could. He worked the indie circuit, did Ring of Honor, did New Japan, obviously, start up AEW and everything. So he was working with all these different styles and was able to kind of morph it into his own. I think that's good. And maybe when eventually, God, I think Trinity's going to go back home. She will.
I do.
And I think she's going to be far better for it, having done that. Even Mercedes Moné, you know what I'm saying, or Sasha Banks, whatever you want to call her. Like she went over to Japan and she got to do what she wanted to do. She won the IWGP
She had a
Women's
bucket
title.
list. Yep.
Absolutely.
She brought attention to
went out and
stardom.
did it. So now she's done it. And who knows what, again, there's been speculation, there's rumor and innuendo about where she's going to end up in 2024. We'll see. But again, I think when they all leave, I think it's good that they do and get better and just, sharpen their skills a little bit.
Absolutely. I think we'll see what happens with Trinity's defense coming up, and that'll be very telling on to how things are going to play out in the near future. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, that's all we can do is just sit and wait. All right, so feud of the year.
So my feud of the year, I gotta bring it to NXT, is Mello and Dragunov. They have put on some bangers and they're still going. It's been a hell of a year for the two of them. They both have improved so much. The matches get better each time. They kill in the ring. They kill it on the mic. Just, it's not stale, right? They've been going at each other's necks for a while now. And I'm not like, all right, I'm not bored with it. I'm like, all right, I guess they're going up against the next pay-per-view. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it keeps, I'm sold, man.
Mine, you might be shocked at it. Ray and Dom.
Okay.
Because how personal it was. You're dealing, I mean, first of all, when Dom told his mom to shut up when you had the microphone. Now, ladies and gentlemen, excuse what me and Gabi, you got to understand the dynamic. When it comes to us, okay, we don't talk back to our moms like that.
Nah, man, we don't talk to moms like that.
No. We don't do that because you
just don't like.
You just don't do it.
You just don't, man. You just don't do it. You don't do it.
Tread lightly, or that's your ass. I mean, that's all I can say about that. But the milking of it till Ray finally gave in and accepted his challenge. The entrances at WrestleMania, you figure with Dom coming out of the paddy wagon with Ray's with the mask on, and it was crazy because it looked like Ray's clone when he had his mask on.
He's a daddy's son.
And then of course Ray's coming out with Snoop's Lowrider to Nothing But a G Thing, and then they play Eddie's music, and then of course they hit his music. So it was a good feeling. And if I ever get a chance to interview Dom Mysterio, the first thing I'm going to ask him is, on the real, what was going through your mind standing across the ring from your father at WrestleMania?
I mean, just even the fact that your father the night before got into the Hall of Fame.
Right.
And like, I know that the Mexican family is very tight and very close knit. And like, how hard was it for you to play that heel and hate your father, knowing that deep down you are so proud of that man?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like that would be my question for Dom. You know what I mean? Like if I ever had a chance to sit down with him, would be like, how hard was it knowing that your father is your hero and the reason why you're in the business and you're doing all of these great things because of your father and because of the role you're playing, you have to hate it, even though secretly you're so excited
Right, right,
and
right.
you're so happy and you want to cry, right? Because that is your dad's moment, and
I mean,
now you
first
got
of
to go the
all,
next day
right.
and you got to fight him.
And the story about how Angie put her career in medicine on hold to support him in
Absolutely.
his wrestling career. I
Mm-hmm.
said, and you see why he treats
She
her like
goes
a
without.
go.
She goes without nothing
Oh yeah, Louis up and down. You know what I
all
mean? She
day.
wears the fun all day. Absolutely. Shout out to Rey Mysterio. Shout out to the whole
Absolutely.
family, man. And we're gonna move on to tag team of the year. And I know it's a little bit rocky when it comes to tag team wrestling in the modern day because there's a lot of makeshift tag teams. There's a lot of it's a lot,
It's
you
been a
know.
weird year for tag teams. Like I was debating this with someone earlier, and I'm like, the natural choice would be FTR, but like, no shade to FTR. I'm just like, you didn't do it for me this year. Like, and I'm not saying FTR doesn't put on bangers because they do. We all know that FTR is a great tag team, but like, they check their boxes, right? Nothing's wrong with checking their boxes, but like,
Right.
I just, it's just a weird year for tag team wrestling. With that being said, I did not pick FTR. My tag team of the year actually are the Creed brothers from NXT. I think that they have had a great year. They are a true tag team. We mentioned that again this year has been like random people teaming up together. Um,
Big
I
Bill and
I
Ricky
just had to
Starks.
get. We're not even gonna go there. We're not doing that today or tomorrow. MJF and Adam Cole. We're not doing that today or tomorrow. Um, I just got to give it to the Creed brothers this year. Who you got? Who'd you give it to?
I gave it to my boys FTR, man. It's like they're our modern day Tully and Arn, and I grew up on
Yeah,
Tully and Arn,
I agree.
and just just staying, you know what I mean? Like they really enjoy being a tag team. It's not something that's
Mm-hmm.
forced. It's not something that the boss is making them do. No, this is something that they truly love and they want to keep the art form alive. That's why I chose them as my tag team of the year. And I'm hopeful that more like genuine tag teams are coming to the surface in 2024 because as much as you can have some makeshift tag teams that could be for just a common cause of like, okay, you got these two baby faces that hate these two heels, okay, let's beat them up because we don't like them and they don't like us. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
as a one-off, that's you know what I mean. Like for example, like back in the day, the Mega Powers, obviously Hogan and the Macho Man, they never held tag team gold before,
Right.
but everyone talks about them because their common enemies were the $1 Million Man, Andre the Giant. So they had all these common enemies, and it was for the greater good of okay, we're gonna please the fans. I both are the you got the Macho Madness and Hulkamania coming together like this. So
Mm-hmm.
that's one thing, but to me. Like the Golden Jets, I mean, I'm not really a fan of it. And before I go any further, prayers and positive vibes and energies going out to Kenny Omega dealing with diverticulitis. That is no joke.
No, it's not.
Brock Lesnar dealt with that. Actually, my coach Danny Cage at Monster Factory dealt with that once upon a time. So, like I said, positive vibes and energies to Kenny Omega and best wishes on your recovery. But I really didn't like the Golden Jets. I get it; they're both from Winnipeg. That's a play on the Winnipeg Jets hockey team. If you guys didn't know, but I really didn't. I wasn't
I
digging it.
don't
You know
see
what I
it.
mean? No, I don't see it. Those are two, you know, singles guys, former world
I
champions in their
think it
own
was a
right.
bucket list thing for Jericho because Jericho's getting up in the age and he wanted to hang out with Kenny Omega, and they said, "All right, hang out with Kenny Omega for a couple months." You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it
I
just
mean,
doesn't. It's not. It doesn't do it for me. And like again, easy choice to the Bucks. Nah, I'm straight. Like we're not playing that. I
right.
just Usos. They haven't even been together. Like they're just. It's just a weird year for
It
tag team
was.
wrestling.
It
Like
was.
I
It
don't
truly
know.
was. To be honest with you, I'm hoping that the Gorillas of Destiny come over to the E. They got
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
They need to come over and somehow if Jimmy and Jay can get their stuff together and get back together, and those are some matches I would love to see. But moment of the year, moment of the year. I think I'm going to go first with this one.
Go.
My boy Pepsi Phil Philip Jack Brooks, better known to the world as CM Punk, returning to the WWE at Survivor Series.
Same beef.
And I mean, something that you never thought you would ever see again.
Ever.
Now, we could talk about Hulk Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
We could talk about the Ultimate Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Sammartino, Bret Hart. The list goes on and on. Heck, Stone Cold took his ball and went home one time.
Yep.
They all come back.
Mm-hmm.
I was of the firm belief. I said Punk is going to be that one guy that's not going to come back.
We talked about this multiple times, and I was like, nah, I don't think it's going to happen. It's not going to happen. We're not going to do that.
I honestly did not think it was going to happen. And in the fashion that he's back and how ingratiated he is with the product lets me know a lot of things that he never wanted to leave there. I think
but like you said earlier, sometimes you
have to leave. When he made that comment about when he talked about peace, that a wise man once told me, you have to leave in order to come back.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, you have to get away for a while. And I mean, think of it this way. Look at the moves that he made outside of WWE. The year that he left, months later, obviously, he released that podcast with Cole Cabana. And then a couple of weeks later, he signs with the UFC. And he trains for 2 years. He fights Mickey Gall. And then 2 years later, he fights that guy, Mike Jackson. And that was it for him in regards to MMA. But he was doing Cage Fury Fighting Championships, I think is what it's called. He does commentary for them.
He's still doing it too.
Right, he still is, yeah. So he's doing that. And then, of course, he finessed his way onto WWE backstage by being employed by Fox, which I thought was pure freaking genius.
Mm-hmm.
What did Rick Ross call 50 Cent the diabolical genius the other day? Hey man, you got to mention Punk in that one too, because he basically finessed it. I truly believe he wanted to be back. He wanted to be back into the fold, but I just think that it was just all timing. Because I mean, truly, this merger, I truly believe, is why he's back. Because I don't think that with Vince was still in charge,
there's no way in hell.
There was no way in hell it was going to happen.
And I think that Vince would be open, but I don't think Punk would have been like comfortable coming back on a handshake from Vince. You know what I mean? Like
right. And I think that obviously with a new environment, a new way of doing business, that was super important. I think I'm glad that Triple H and Punk were able to kind of mend fences. I hear Punk is a hit down at NXT. Like everyone's like he's been really helping out. And here's something I just found out today. Leo Rush was doing an interview, and he said that Punk pitched an idea for Danielle Fishel, known as Topanga from Boy Meets World, to come to AEW and manage Leo Rush because she's a fan of Leo Rush.
Mm-hmm.
I
heard that earlier.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like, so for all this stuff that everyone was saying, Punk is this, he's a cancer, and he's this, and he's that. And you're hearing all these stories coming out now about how he was really trying to make a difference, how he was trying to help. It makes me wonder, was it resentment or why they were treating him the way that they were?
Absolutely. The things that make you go,
Because I'll be honest with you, you've been hearing a lot more. And again, I do not, and for all intents and purposes, for any AEW fan that's listening, I do not want that company to fail. I want them to succeed beyond everything in this world. I honestly do. I don't consider myself an AEW fan. I don't consider myself a WWE fan. I don't consider myself a New Japan, Impact, MLW, any of those. I am a wrestling fan. Gabi's a wrestling fan. We talk and we're voices for the wrestling fan. We're not being a shill for a company. Thank you, WWE Shop, for giving me that brand affiliate. I appreciate it. But I'm just saying, I'm not a shill.
I'm open, right? Like I enjoy the product. I enjoy all of the things. I'm not a hater.
Right.
I'm gonna tell you when you're right, when you're wrong, and when you're indifferent. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I'm not gonna be up here and praise all of the great things that happened to this company and forget that they didn't happen to the other one. Like, no, absolutely. I'm like your parent. I'm gonna call you out when you're right, wrong, or indifferent. I got your back. But like, we're gonna have to talk about it.
Absolutely. And I mean, like I said, I want them to succeed, but But all in all, Punk being back in WWE, like I said, they're doing big business. Obviously he has the number one selling T-shirt right now. His merch is selling. Um, Obviously he's doing extremely well, and I just hope that him and with whatever business he's going to do with Seth Rollins, I hope it's all great for the industry, and let's see what happens from there. But we're going to talk about pay-per-view of the year.
Okay.
You go.
Without a shadow of a doubt, WrestleMania Night 1.
Okay.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
I think that Night 2 was great. However, I think that the bangers, for instance, our Charlotte and our Rhea, all came out of Night 1 of WrestleMania. And I don't think that anyone came near that star power of Mania Night 1.
Got it.
What you got for me? What you got?
Believe it or not, Backlash.
All right, talk to me. Tell me. Interesting choice. Let's talk.
Okay, first of all, let's call it for what it is. I believe entrance of the year goes to Bad Bunny.
Fair.
That and the match that he had with Damian Priest. Think about this for a second. You're talking about guys from the same town that on the same island. You know what I'm saying? Like that was huge. Bianca Belair obviously wrestled Io Sky. That was a damn good match. Seth Rollins had wrestled Omos. For what it was worth, it was okay. It was a good match. Austin Theory wrestled Bobby Lashley, Rhea Ripley, and Zelina Vega. Obviously, for Zelina coming home, that was a real emotional for her. Bad Bunny and Damian Priest, and of course the Brock Cody match, and then the Bloodline tag match. But to me, it was the fans that helped make that event what it was.
Absolutely.
It was the fans. It was truly the fans. It was, without a doubt. So in the night 1 of WrestleMania, I mean, like I said, that was incredible. You know what I mean? It's just the way the matches flowed, the event flowed. I loved it. I really enjoyed it. So we got two more of these categories. We're gonna go with female wrestler of the year.
Athena.
Okay.
Athena, easily. I've been preaching the greatness of Athena every time I'm on this podcast. So I'm gonna save everybody and tell them to go back and listen to me earlier. I just think Athena does not get the love and appreciation she deserves because everyone thinks of Ring of Honor as a dark, and they don't treat it as a true brand as itself. Right. Hopefully that changes soon. I've heard rumblings and I've seen the pictures of the Ring of Honor Women's Mid-Card title. Hopefully that will bring some more eyes. Hopefully that will bring some more eyes to Ring of Honor. Their last pay-per-view final battle, Chef Kiss, as an honorable mention to me, honestly, a pay-per-view of the year. That was a great pay-per-view. It was 5.5 hours long. If you got time, go back and watch it. Definitely worth it. I just really hope that Athena gets her attention and her flowers this year. And like you mentioned earlier, Ring of Honor belts have been defended on every pay-per-view.
Except the women. Yeah.
The women has not. And we need to talk about that and we need to make that a thing. I need to see her on pay-per-view. Why is it that these randoms, no shade, are getting this attention when you literally have your champion sitting at home on Twitch? Make that make sense to me. So hopefully this is the year, a second year of Athena, that we can see more of Athena, that Athena gets that attention. I mean, the Ring of Honor belts are defended on AEW on their weekly shows. But again, we have not seen Athena. We have not seen the women. So hopefully the women's booking is better this year and she can get the flowers she deserves because I'm going to give them to her every chance I get.
Well, mine goes to Mommy. And I say this because you rarely see a woman, a leader, being a leader of a faction full of men. Her step, just her, in other words, where she was before WrestleMania or before the Royal Rumble, whatever the case it was, and where she is now. Like superstar. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And she's selling merch out Mommy's always on top. I mean, she's selling. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, her merch is selling. She's doing incredible work. She's doing promotional work in Australia right now for
Mm-hmm.
Elimination Chamber. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she is really knocking it out of the park for me. She for this year, you know, being champion and all that, obviously going from SmackDown Women's Champion to the World Women's Championship, that rebranding of that title. And
Mm-hmm.
people were complaining in regards to the quality of not so much of the quality of the matches, but more of the quality of the opponent. But I'm just like obviously the match last Monday, we're gonna just forget about that ever even happened. We're gonna talk about that.
I didn't think that was real. I thought that was like someone playing around, posting pictures. You know, people like fantasy book things on Twitter and stuff. I thought that's what that was. I didn't know that was real. And I was like, oh, it happened. It's a thing. I truly, sincerely didn't think that was real. Like,
Yeah, that was a real match, and I was just like, ooh, and
so we're gonna skip it. We're gonna move
was well that
on.
we're gonna fast forward a little bit, but all in all, I just think that this was a great year for her overall, not
Mm-hmm.
only in the ring but
Growth.
out of the ring and the world. She grew as a superstar, grew as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And my last one is going to be male wrestler of the year,
You got it. Who you got?
Sami Zayn. Now,
All right.
if you would have told me, right, that the
Mm-hmm.
year before this man was in a jackass match with Johnny Knoxville and
Facts.
ended up in the main event of WrestleMania, winning the tag team championship, and again making history by being the second tag team match to main event WrestleMania in history. For those that don't know, the first main event of WrestleMania was Mr. T and Hulk Hogan against Roddy Piper and Mr. Wonderful Paul Orndorff. But all I'm saying is to go from one extreme to the other,
Mm-hmm. In a year's time.
unbelievable in 1 year's time. And he was think about it. Think about how how he ingratiated himself in the bloodline. And Paul Heyman said that was only supposed to be maybe 1 or 2 episodes. And then after that, it just became
It became a
more
thing.
and
Mm-hmm.
more and more. And he had a damn honorary Usher, man. It's like, come
Mm-hmm.
on now. So that's my pick for male superstar of the year, wrestler of the year.
So I have kind of two.
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I have two, we'll get there, is that I think that again I have to give props to MJF.
Mm-hmm.
I think MJF has had a hell of a year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm not gonna spend too much time on that because I
Mm-hmm.
think we know that MJF has had a hell of a year. So
Right,
I'm gonna
right,
be
right.
a little sneaky that I didn't tell you. I gotta give an honorable mention to this category. And I think it's gonna maybe rub people the wrong way, but we'll see. My honorable mention for this category is Logan Paul.
Okay.
If I had to do a top three, Logan Paul would be in that top three. Um, I think that people don't give respect to Logan Paul for
Mm-hmm.
working on his craft because everyone sees him as this YouTuber and his personality. But
Right,
like,
of
let's
course.
be honest, that man gets in the ring and he goes
Goes.
every single time. You can tell that he
Absolutely.
works on his match. You can tell that he works on his craft. He's done his studying. He knows what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
Another random hot take. Ricochet wasn't doing anything until him and Logan Paul had their beef. He elevated Ricochet.
He's
He
only and
elevates whoever he's in the ring with.
he has
They're
no
able
business being that good. Only been doing this for like less than 2 years.
100%. If you can go with Ricochet, and we all know Ricochet can go in the ring. Never been a doubt.
Agreed.
That man high flies, he flips, he can do whatever. If you can stand toe to toe with Ricochet in the ring, you're lighting in bottles. So I have to give my honorable mention. Again, I know it's probably going to run people wrong, to Logan Paul because he has been killing it. And again, I don't think he gets enough credit for his work this year.
If I was allowed to have an honorable mention,
Mm-hmm.
it would be Gunther.
All right. Absolutely.
Look at the banger triple threat match he had at Mania with Sheamus and Drew
Woo,
McIntyre.
baby.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And making history
Look at
this
his
year.
matches,
His matches are incredible. Making history, being now the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. the list goes on and on. So, in my opinion, if there was an honorable mention, it would definitely be Gunther.
I mean, look at his body and his physique in the last year too.
Yeah,
Like he has been putting in the work and doing things. People forget that that man could actually cut a promo too because he didn't need to talk.
right. His
He didn't
presence
need to
spoke for
talk.
itself.
He
Right.
was good. But then you had the mic and you're like, oh, okay. You kind of are the package, right? So like
Hmm.
Gunther had a really good year. And he's also, if I had to do a top five, Gunther would be on it easily.
Got it. Got it. So we had talked about doing some things in the new year regarding some women's wrestling. So let's just talk about that a little bit.
All right. So I don't want to give too much away, but I have been working with my boys from my podcast, Mid Carters and Catering, follow us. And I want to spend some more time highlighting women's wrestling in 2024 by doing some various watch alongs and some series on some key women in wrestling. And I think that you all will be very happy with what we have. Of course, we got D-Lew coming through on my first little episode coming through. Hopefully, we can get that pushed out sometime in January, early February. Um, but again, like everyone, whenever I'm on any podcast, I always say that like women's wrestling does not get the attention, the love that it deserves. I think that it's highly underrated, and it is my mission and my goal to jam it down anyone's throat who's willing to listen to me to preach the praises of women's wrestling. And I think that everyone always gives kudos to, you know, your China, your Trish Stratus. And I'm not taking anything away from them, but there are so many more women in wrestling history that do not get that same attention. And I'm bringing them to you. We're deep diving into it this year. Or, I'm
Oh,
sorry,
agreed.
next year.
And
We're
I
deep
can't wait to
diving
talk
into it.
about it. I've been an advocate for women's wrestling since the mid '80s, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
talking about the tag. There was the women's. It was the WWF Women's Tag Team Championships. It was only a few teams that held it, but the main feud from like '87 to '88 was the Jumping Bomb Angels, the girls from Japan, against
Mm-hmm.
the Glamour Girls, Leilani Kai and Judy Martin, and when you got to watch their matches, especially the house show matches at the Garden, and getting that hot tag, the Bomb Angels getting the hot tag, and the fans were popping, and they were wrestling.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were chain wrestling, they were doing all those type of things because Leilani Kai was a regular in Japan. She used to go back and forth, so she
Mm-hmm.
has a lot of that Japanese influence as well as far in her style and her work. I've always enjoyed her work, so I've always been an advocate for women's wrestling too, and I've always wanted to see them at the forefront, not just as eye candy, but hey, they can get in there and mix it up too, whether it's with
Mm-hmm.
women or even with the guys. So
Absolutely.
I can't wait to come on, talk about it, go into the history books a little bit, and discuss. And I think there needs to be a little bit more discuss as well.
Absolutely. I look forward to having you on my channel as opposed to me
Yeah,
joining yours all the time.
yeah,
So
absolutely.
definitely keep your ears and your eyes open for that. Like I said, my goal in 2024 is to chat more about women's wrestling. Um, we're gonna do some deep diving and we're gonna bring you to the current time because there's a lot to be covered for sure.
For sure. And before we get out of here, I want to I'll ask where can they find you on social media once again?
You guys can find me at Hi Gabi, HiiGabii. And if you want to follow me and the boys podcast, we're over at Mid Carters and Catering. You can find us where you listen to your podcast.
All right. Well, like I said, we'll definitely be talking soon, and happy holidays to you as
Happy New
well.
Year.
Well, that does it for this week's edition of the D-Lew Podcast. Once again, I want to thank Chris Cyborg for taking the time out of her extremely busy schedule from training and getting prepared for her fight against Kelsey Wickstrum, to come on to the D-Lew Podcast and talk about, her career and where she's at and where she's headed. And also, I want to thank Gabi for, once again, talking wrestling with me on this show. Just to let you guys know, obviously this coming Monday is Christmas. I do celebrate Christmas, y'all. And, that Thursday, usually I will do a show, but it's also going to be a best of D-Lew podcast episode, to give, get ready for the new year. So in the event, if you all didn't, check out some previous episodes, I'm going to, give you guys a special treat and, put together a compilation of some really cool interviews that I did this year. And as you all celebrate, the holiday season with your family and your loved ones, and we'll be kicking off 2024 in high gear. I have so many plans, in store for this show, where it's headed. And if you guys didn't know, that the video version of the interview I did with Chris is actually on my YouTube channel. So go check out, my YouTube channel. It's, if you go to youtube.com, / The Real D-Lew, or if you just go on a search engine on YouTube and you could look me up, Derrick T. Lewis. You can do that as well. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button on my YouTube channel, in addition to hitting the subscribe button on whichever platform you're listening to this podcast on. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Pandora, iHeartRadio, whichever platform that you're on, hit subscribe so you automatically get all new content. My store is still open, shop.derricklewis.com. Get your hoodies and tees from there. Stream our music, the vibes. Espacion is out now with Angie Stars. All platforms stream. You can also watch the music video on YouTube, Vivo, Tidal, and Apple Music. Well, I'm going to get out of here. And as I always say, no matter what it is you do in life, always remember to make it count, and happy holidays. Take care.